All right, so I've been seeing on TikTok and even on Facebook Reels this thing about Hoochie Daddy shorts. And while I'm sure that this is something that applies to all men, I have predominantly seen it being said by Black women about Black men. But for all men, and especially Black men, this is my thoughts. I will not be calling you Hoochie Daddy and be asking to see your thigh meat. I will not objectify your body and then tell you it's okay because men have done it to women for centuries. I will not. When you tell me that you find this offensive or that it makes you feel some type of way, I will not tell you to stop acting like a bitch or get out your feelings, right? After being criticized for not being emotionally available to us, what I will not do is condemn you for being vulnerable with me. I just think that's crazy, right? We ask men to share, and when they share, we say, oh, shut up and get out your feelings. Listen, you can't have it both ways, ladies, right? In a world where you are often told you are not enough, and this is especially for my Black and brown men, in a world where you are often told that you are not enough and that love for you is conditional, I will not add to your plate, not even in this most trivial of ways, because you never know what's the tipping point for someone. And I value you, right? So wear your 5-inch inseam shorts if you want to. Or if you don't, and even denim is okay. I want you to wear whatever you feel great in. Wear that. And for the women, especially Black women, who are talking about hoochie daddies and thigh meats, listen, unless you are opening your mouth to edify and uplift and encourage our men, hush. It's not your business what they do with their thighs or their meat. The same way that we feel that way, I'm sure they do as well, right? So let's remember that being feminism doesn't have to be anti-men or objectifying, okay? We didn't like it when it was done to us. Let's don't go in that direction. All right? Enjoy your hot summer, folks. Peace.
Well, good morning, everybody, and I have flown pastor, evangelist, missionary Danny Cook into the studio this morning. Good morning, Danny Cook. How you doing? Well, I'm Dr. Sims, by the way. Good morning, Danny. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm well. How are you?
I am well as well. When I saw that TikTok, I was cracking up because I don't know how to feel. And I asked myself, am I objectifiable?
Oh, really? Listen, that is not like that is not a status you desire to achieve. That's
I know.
Of your greatness.
I was laughing. I thought that to myself because, see, this dad body is all covered up. I'm going to the beach next week, and we stay covered up. White t-shirt and some black shorts that go down to my knees.
You silly. To me, it doesn't, I don't care what kind of body you have, right?
Amen.
When I first saw the TikTok video that was going viral where the Black girl is like pointing out all the men and she's like really critiquing them about these hoochie daddy shorts, and if it's denim, we don't want to see them, and if it's this, we don't want that, and come on, daddy, show me that thigh. And my thing is this: is it if she were a comedian or if she were being funny,
okay,
like if it was her shtick, if it was part of a show or something,
it'd have been one thing.
Okay, then that would be one thing. But this is literally a trend where women are jumping on this bandwagon of just objectifying men. And for me, I don't know why. It's that, I'm quick to point out the cognitive dissonance because I always look at it from the things that I've experienced that I don't like. So as a Black woman, there are things that I experience when it comes to racism, and white people are cognitively dissonant, right?
Right.
I pointed out to myself and my heterosexual friends when we say things that are homophobic.
Yeah, the sex is in the world.
Yes, absolutely. And this is in that same way. I can appreciate, and I said this to you earlier, there is a difference between appreciation and objectification.
Yeah. I
can pay a man a compliment. I can say, "Ooh, you look really well. You're handsome." Or really, you're gonna do a program. but I can appreciate without objectifying. And for me, there's a difference between the two. One has to do with, just an overall appreciation of you as a human being,
right,
and how you look and how you carry yourself and what your energy feels like. That's one thing, and it feels a certain way, right, energetically.
right.
And then there's a difference between just looking at you and literally when I refer to you, when I hear thigh meat, I think chicken.
Right.
I think chicken and barbecue. I do not think a man, a human being, a potential date or a spouse. And so I just don't think that we as women should be. I don't think that the answer to male patriarchy and to misogyny and sexism is extreme feminism that is anti-male or that objectifies men. I don't think the answer is to swing the pendulum all the way in the opposite direction.
Right, because we were talking during the pre-show that it's a tad bit hypocritical. Good morning again, everybody. I'm Dr. Sim. This is my co-host on the second Tuesday of the month, Miss Dani Cook, the Dani Cook. And what we're talking about today, we just catching up. It's mid 2022. I just had a birthday last Monday, had a great time. I'm 56 years young now, and we have her here the second Tuesday of the month, and she was so excited she wanted to come on last week. I said, it's next week, Dani. And she's like, okay. And she's in the midst of a trip with her family. And she said, Dr. Sim, I still take a time out and be with you today. So we talking about Hoochie daddies. That's check. And now we're going to shift a little bit. Let's talk about Monique and DL. I saw a TikTok and I saw Instagram, Dani. Her sister has been caught saying, well, God shut you down one time, Monique, and he'll do it again. I said Sunday, God or the devil didn't have nothing to do with sidelining Monique. She did it to herself, Chief. You know what I'm saying? What's your take on the whole, if you had to write a thesis on Monique, what would you talk about?
I would simply say, if the same thing continues to happen, and we can name 10 to a dozen people that this has happened with her.
Yes, ma'am.
The problem is probably not those people.
Hello.
The problem is probably Monique. She's the common denominator. When you look at all the other people that have worked with these people. Now, let me just say this. There are times when she has good points, but she loses those points in her delivery.
Amen.
She loses those points in her type of messaging. And if she don't get rid of that snake oil of a husband she's got, I don't know what to tell her about that. Because I'm here to tell you. So, to me, every time I watch him and his whole demeanor, his expression in the background, my discernment radar goes. Bing, 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 bing,
okay.
Because you can just see it emanate from him. Now, having said that,
okay.
You could so Monique, she has kind of labeled herself the auntie of black women, which thank you, no thank you, no thank you, because number one, in order to be the auntie, you have to be carrying yourself in such a manner where you earn that respect.
We want to sit on the porch. We want to sit on the porch with you and drink sweet tea.
Right. She don't have it. So she does have good points at times, but she loses them. And the manner in which she does things tells you that she is still kind of struggling with her own self-worth.
Amen.
With her own value, because she seeks validation from so many external places.
Right.
So the one time I clapped for her ass was when she was talking to Steve Harvey, and he admitted what a sellout he is. Now, that was the one time. Oh, you didn't see that clip?
Wow. I saw the interview, but I have to look back at that.
Listen, so he's talking, they are talking about her and Lee Daniels and her and Oprah Winfrey and her and Tyler Perry and that whole fallout that they all had.
Okay.
And he says to Monique, because she said, listen, I didn't want to do this thing because I felt like it compromised who I was, blah, 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 whatever. And he actually says to her, well, sometimes for the money, he literally says, for the money, sometimes, you have to make concessions and you have to
play the game. He said that.
Yeah, Steve Harvey said that. I've never been a Steve Harvey fan. Let me just tell you, listen, just because you made it work with your mistress does not impress me. I'm not impressed, sir, that you managed to marry your mistress and stay together after you cheated on your wife. I'm not, and I don't want to act like a lady and think like a man. I'd rather act like my damn self and think about like who I am. No. No. I mean, it sounds catchy and it sells books. And yes, it made a movie. But so here's the conundrum that you get into, right? With act like a lady and think like a man. Well, act like a lady. Who says what a lady is? Men? Is that who says what a lady is?
Wow. Wow. You and I have talked about that.
Historically speaking, that's what it's meant. So you want me to act a certain way that you deem appropriate, sir, while you go out and do whatever, but you want me to think like a man. Well, how does a man think? Is a man devious? Is a man cunning? Is a man a hunter? Is that what you think a man is?
Wow.
And so these are the stereotypes that get us into ridiculously bad relationships that are based on societal norms and ideas that don't really work.
Wow. So what one of the things I said, and I think you and I talked about this, I said the issue was Monique thought she was the headliner and DL was the headliner, and in the contract it says the following show will Monique and DL. So they threw it out there that both of them were headliners, and she was fired up and she just went off. And if she had an issue, back to your point about her manager husband, if it was an issue, all she had to do was go to her husband and say, baby, I thought I was a headliner. I'm still perform, but you need to handle this because I thought you told me I was a headliner and evidently I'm not. And
so listen, how long's Monique been in the business?
Say that again.
How long has Monique been in the business?
For a minute.
So she knows what the hell her contract should read. And if she's dumb enough to let her daddy of a husband do her damn contracts and not read it for herself, you can leave. At this stage in your life, at this stage in your career, you should know what your contract reads. And you should be clear about it before you ever sign it. If there are questions, you need to have them addressed. Now, if you don't do your due diligence and you're upset about that,
that's another issue.
You don't tell the audience, right? That is stuff that you handle. So what you would do, and I said this to you when you first asked me about it, right? Is what she should have done was come out on that stage, killed her damn set, and left the audience saying, damn, Monique killed that. Monique should have been the headliner. They could have kept DL. Because how many a concert have you been to where the opening act killed it better than the headliner?
That's exactly right.
Listen, I needed some more. I needed some more salt and pepper to get raw bass. Right, I'm going way back in the day on y'all. But y'all know what I'm trying to say, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not for you to tell the audience, oh, I should have been the headliner. Show them you're the headliner.
That's right.
Do your material, do your set, show them what you have, and let them say that.
That is good.
That's what we had this rule in sales where we used to say, when you say it, people don't believe it, but when they say it, they believe it. So all she had to do was, instead of telling people I should have been the headliner, perform at a headliner standard and let them say Monique should have been the headliner.
That's so good. That's exactly right.
Next time your contract, if you and Daddy read it right, would say you are the headliner.
That is good stuff. So how do you? Because people say backstage and behind the scene, DL showed out and said, no, I'm the headliner. I'm going last. Well, he didn't do it publicly. What do you think about what DL would say about DL or how DL handled it?
No, here's what if you watch what he said that Monique, what she did was she showed up 30 minutes late to the show, trying to force him to go on because the audience was waiting. Okay, and DL said, nah, she late. She just gonna be late. Y'all not gonna force me to go out early so that she can be the closing act because that's what she wants. It's a typical thing, and he even said this. He said this is what an artist will do.
Okay.
When they wanna be the closing act, or when they want a better position in the lineup, they'll just show up late, thinking that the pressure of a delayed performance will force the other act to go on ahead of them. And DL said, nah, then people can just keep drinking their drinks. I'm going to wait until it's my turn. And that's what he did.
How about that? That girl, that's Miss, I think Monique need to call you. She needs some help.
Listen, well, I'll take Monique. Listen, Monique, you want to coach? Girl, I'll take the change. Now, listen, I'll even coach Daddy. He might not like it, but bring Daddy. I'm going to do you in one session, Daddy in another session.
That's good.
Have a joint session.
That's
but
good.
I'm going to tell him, listen, you better be ready.
All right. I don't think they're ready for you.
Yeah, listen, I know Daddy ain't. I can tell you that. And I'm sorry, like, okay, I do have this thing, as you can tell. I have an issue that she calls him Daddy.
Right.
I do have, because to me, so like, okay, it's one thing. It is one thing if that's like something you do in the bedroom, right? Like,
right.
That's one thing. But you a grown ass what, 50-something-year-old woman calling your husband daddy in front of the whole damn world. Okay, tell him daddy and dad. And he just, it's like he's the puppet master. She's just on strings. And he's just sitting back, like with this little, every time I see him, he's standing behind her with this smirk on his face, like watching her. And if you see what has happened ever since she got with him.
I totally agree. It hasn't been good. It has not been good.
No, I'm just saying.
It hasn't been good. Okay, number 3, what we want to talk about is high gas prices. And when we say high gas prices, I believe that's a misnomer, because it's not the gas that's high. I think that's a symptom. Help me understand that. Help explain that. It's not necessarily that gas is high. It's what's behind the gas that is raising the price of gas. Is that right?
Well, I mean, it's corporate greed and politics. That's what's behind the gas. I mean, it's real simple. So what you see is corporations are largely Republican. Okay, most large corporations and the people who run them are Republicans because they like trickle down economics. They like low taxes for corporations. They like corporate bailouts. They like those things that favor their bank accounts. Okay, and right now we have a Democrat.
That's right.
In the White House, and they want a Republican this next go round, and the midterms are in November.
That's exactly right.
So what you see is not just with gas prices, but with our supply chains, with baby formula, with your grocery stores. I mean, if you think about what you're paying for food now, it is not just gases.
That's right.
Like I think I saw the other day an article that said that the average American is spending $460 per month more just for the basic food, gas, supplies of life than they normally were.
That's right.
$500 a month is a lot of money to people.
Yes, it is.
And I think what they're attempting to do is twofold, right? I think they want to make sure that the midterm is extremely Republican in terms of the election and the turnout and who's put into positions of office. And at the same time, they get to make a shit ton of money.
It's that simple. It's that simple.
It's that simple. When you look at the profits of these corporations and these gas and fuel companies over the last 6 months, they are literally in the hundreds of millions of dollars in terms of their profits.
Yeah.
At the expense of the American people.
Isn't that amazing? And the Republican businesses, blame and tell the people it's Biden's fault. It's Biden's fault.
Nothing to do with it. That's
not one thing.
$7.25 in France and $7.38 in London, and listen, Biden is not the president of the world. It is just the United States of America, and fuel prices are like this everywhere.
That's right.
And so that's what people don't seem to understand. And it's, why do you not understand? Because you don't want to, right? You want to be right, and if you have to face actual fact.
Right.
Like, it's funny because I think about the very first time we ever turned on the TV and heard the words alternative facts. Like, what the fuck is that? That's not a real thing. What is an alternative fact? It's a lie.
That's right. Thank you.
Alternative fact is an opinion. An alternative fact is not the truth. Right? That's what it is. But we spend days with people just spewing these things. And I mean, for goodness sake, you see it all over the place in these hearings. Right from the January 6th committee.
That's right.
You are hearing a lot of fact. And I think probably one of the most frustrating things for me.
That's good. Good transition. That's good.
Now, by people who could have said them back then and potentially prevented a lot of the trauma and the things that have happened to us as a country and as people, but we haven't seen that yet. So
that's right. And and I sat and wondered, why was Trump so successful? To your point you just made, the Republican businesses love a Republican president because it makes them money. So they don't care about his ethics. They don't care if he's standing up there speaking Greek. They don't really care about him. They just know a Republican president helps their agenda.
So you have to understand is that after 2008 and 2012, after those elections, you heard Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. He said at the Republican National Convention in 2012, he said the problem with the Republican Party is there is not enough angry white guys. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said that's why they weren't winning. And so the verbiage began at that point.
That's right.
that's why you see a lot of white verbiage now, a lot of black verbiage now, a lot of racist verbiage in politics, lots of dog whistling happening, because that was the deal. And so, you know, Lyndon B. Johnson said it. They were coming through Nashville in a parade, and Lyndon B. Johnson, they were talking about the racial epitaphs, the signs that were lining the parade, and his aide had asked, you know, why people were so racist. And, you know, Lyndon B. Johnson being from the South, he said, you know, listen, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the effect of, listen, when you can make a poor white man, right, think he's better than the lowest black man, right, he'll give you his vote. And he said, he'll empty his pockets for you.
Hello.
Is what he said. And that's what they did with Trump. They emptied their pockets for him.
To the tune of $250 million 2 weeks after, 2 weeks before, during that January 6th hearing time.
No, it was before that. They raised $100 million of that the first week after the election.
Wow.
$100 million of that was raised within the first week after the election. But so this is what people don't understand, is that they're willing to do this. If you listen to Trump, if you listen to him talk, there's actually some science behind the way that he speaks.
Okay.
So, and they talked about it in comparison of all things to Hitler. Okay. So whenever you're doing a speech and whenever you're talking, if you repeat the same thing 3 times in a row, it sticks in people's brain. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you say the same thing 3 times in a row. And that's why any speech that you watch, you'll hear him when he repeats the lie or the thing he really wants to stick, he'll say it 3 times. It's not because he's dumb.
He's not.
That's the speech pattern that has been proven psychologically, scientifically to work. And that's why it sticks with people, is the way that you speak. And so when you watch him, and so what they needed someone that poor white people looked up to in terms of success, and for that matter, that black people looked up to. I have a lot of black friends that used to buy Trump's books because he was supposed to be the guy that could tell you how to get rich. He was the real estate mogul. It doesn't matter that Trump's stakes failed. It doesn't matter that his hotels are losing money. It doesn't matter that he defrauded people with his Trump education, his online school, Trump University. I mean, like, literally, he was found guilty of defrauding people. It doesn't matter.
That's right.
You know, none of these things matter to people because he's professed to be so rich and whatever. So that's what we have a problem with, worshiping money in this country.
You're right.
So people, they needed a face. They didn't give a damn who the face was. They needed a face for the Republican Party, and they hoped that by putting Pence behind him, Pence is what they would consider a real Republican.
Right.
In my mind, he's a little bit of a Handmaid's Tale crazy ass, but whatever. We'll do that on another show. We'll talk about him and his misogynistic crazy self. But anyway, but the hope was, they hoped that they could kind of keep him in check. The problem is you can't keep a narcissist. You can't keep. He has a real sociological, psychotic like issue. Yeah, and you can't control someone like that.
When he refused to concede the election, I said, and the Southern colloquialism that I used was, we let the fox in the hen house. And ain't no way that fox want to leave that hen house being fat, dumb, and happy. And I put that in air quotes. And it's just that simple. We let the fox get in the hen house, and he been sitting pretty. And there wasn't no way he was going to get that up too easy with a chicken bone in his mouth.
He's never admitted that he's lost anything. He will never admit that he hasn't admitted it. He can't. He literally cannot. If you read his niece's book, she's a damn psychiatrist or psychologist, Mary Trump. If you read her book, you will learn he can't. He cannot admit failure. He cannot admit defeat. He cannot admit loss.
He physically cannot do it. He physically cannot do it. It goes against who he is.
Against everything in his nature. He can't do it. But part of that goes back to his upbringing with his dad. You know, they believe. So you know they believe in eugenics. They believe that they have a super gene.
Yeah.
He talks. If you Google Trump super gene, you will see him talk about the genetics that he believed he and his family have, and that they have this gene that makes them superior to other people. It's very similar to Hitler and Hitler's belief system, about blonde-haired, blue-eyed people.
Right.
He believes that they have a super gene that makes them more intelligent and so on. But, it's really interesting when you see the testimony and the hearings that are taking place.
This is good.
When you hear Bill Barr say, listen, if he really believes these things, he is detached from reality.
Yeah.
That's a quote. Bill Barr said, he is detached from reality. When you hear his head political campaign guy, who said, I came in during the last 115 days. He said, and there were literally 2 camps within the campaign.
Wow.
And they called them Camp Trump. They call them Camp Normal.
My Lord. And
Camp Rudy Giuliani, right? They literally, people knew that what was transpiring was not normal. That people were, but here's what I love about the January 6th hearings.
Okay, and that's what I was just about to say. What's your take on it? How would you grade it so far?
Oh, it's brilliant. And people are going to get upset because they don't understand what they are doing. They are laying a firm groundwork. So here's the thing.
That's good.
There's a couple of points to take in. The reason why they keep reiterating and they're really hounding him, how many of the people in his camp repeatedly told him directly, face to face, sir, what you're saying is true, is false. There's no evidence for this. These allegations are ridiculous. This is nonsense. This is bullshit. This did not happen. This video did not happen. This was not a suitcase. It was, a container for the ballots. So that has to do with his intentional spreading of the lies after that.
Yeah, knowing that he was told repeatedly, this is false. This is false.
If no one had ever said to him, he could claim ignorance. He could say, well, I didn't know they weren't true. This is the stuff that I was being told. But they are laying the groundwork by saying he was repeatedly told for weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon weeks that the claims he was making was a lie. So then you get into the fact that he stood at that rally on the 6th and made those claims again. The last email that they sent asking for money for the defense fund was 30 minutes before they breached the Capitol.
Right.
When you add all of that in, that is legal groundwork to meet certain legal requirements for criminal charges later to come.
Wow.
So like people don't understand. So did you know that if somebody calls you 100 times a day, and they do that for a week, you can't just go file something about harassment. Do you want to know why?
Why?
You never told them to stop.
What?
You have to tell them to stop legally.
Wow.
How do I know? Because I had to get a restraining order when I was in Charlotte against a guy that I'd never met, never dated, and he was stalking me online.
Wow.
And
you have to physically say to that harasser,
you have to
stop.
say to the individual, I want you to stop communicating. Do not contact me. Da da da. You have to tell them, and it's only if they keep doing it. And typically, you have to tell them twice. But you have to. And so what they're doing is they are laying a groundwork by saying, "Listen, he was repeatedly told that this is false, that this is not accurate. So he can't claim deniability." And so they are laying the groundwork to meet certain legal requirements for different charges that I think are going to come in the months that follow. So
what's the end game? So what do you think is going to happen to Trump and all of his cronies? What do you think if we play this out?
Rudy Giuliani is going to lose his law license, period, permanently. The suspension is going to be over. He's done. He can just hang it up.
Stick a fork in him.
I hope Trump gave him enough of that $250 million that his ass is good, because he won't practice law anymore. He's done. I think I'm interested to hear about this other attorney, Eastman, that they called his name today in his last clip. And the other attorney said when he called him after January 6th, he said, you got to be out of your effing mind.
Wow.
And he said, all I want to hear from you moving forward is transition of power. That's all I want to hear from you. So, So here's what I think. I think they're covering their bases on 2 fronts. Okay. So I think one, when you talk about conspiracies, when you talk about an attempt to overthrow the government, when you talk about those things, I think the committee is laying the groundwork for that. And they're going, I don't know if the Department of Justice is really going to do this in terms of those criminal charges.
Okay.
So the other thing that they've piggybacked on it, which I think would be an easier pill to swallow, although I hope we get both, is the grifter and the fraud.
Yeah.
This is not the first time that Trump and his companies and his campaigns have been accused of and found guilty of fraud. And so I think one is the criminal acts of actually attempting to overthrow the government.
Right.
And two is stealing money from the American people for a fund they knew did not exist.
Wow.
And if you saw, Trump put out a statement that said, asking people for money and them giving it to me is not fraud. What I tell them I'm going to use it for and what I actually use it for is none of their business. And
Wow.
I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he said.
You know, because it's not just good morning, Teresa. Good morning, everybody. And Dani and I just doing a wellness check and hitting some high points of what everybody's seeing going on right now. So in my simple mind, you just can't put Trump and his people in jail for lying and not wanting to transition power and all the stuff that he's done. You have to prove that something wrong was done. We saw it on January 6, 2021. We saw what happened. We heard what he said, but you got to prove it.
So if you saw, so one of the things I thought was really compelling. So for example, do you remember when, was it Michael Brown? It's one of the black men, young men, when he was murdered by a cop.
Right. It was Michael Brown.
His daddy stood on top of a police car, and his daddy said something, and they charged his daddy with inciting a riot. Do you remember that?
I remember.
Okay, so this is the same thing that we're talking about. So you have to be careful when you are in a position where people are emotionally charged.
Okay.
With the words that you use. And so I think they're laying some really good groundwork. For example, the testimony of Schmidt today.
Right.
Schmidt was one of the election officials in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And he said prior to Trump tweeting his specific name, because this guy has been like in elections for a long time. He's a Republican. He's been in this deal for a while.
Okay.
But Trump tweeted his name because the guy was saying, listen, we've investigated all of these allegations. There's been no evidence of election fraud.
Right.
Basically, they claimed that 8,023 dead people voted in Pennsylvania. And this gentleman said, not only was that not true, he said, we could not find 8. We couldn't find 8 dead people, much less 8,000 that voted. And so Trump tweeted about this guy. And after that, he and his family began getting very extreme death threats. They were sending threats of naming his wife, naming his children with their ages, with their address, saying, you steal elections, we steal lives.
Wow.
How would you feel with, cuts and bullets in you?
Wow.
So what they are doing is they are talking about the weight that one tweet that the president said had on this man's life and the threats that he received.
Wow.
And the weight of his words on January 6th, that rally, the weight of his words, every time he got on TV and told the big lie, every email they sent out, and they asked for money for something he knew
did not exist.
True. All of those attorneys that took those cases to court, they can hang it up.
Yeah.
They can hang it up because they took what they knew were unfounded arguments and unfounded claims into court, and they perpetuated the lies. I can't wait to see what they end up doing.
I can't wait. So what do you say about the person? Then I want to close on how are you doing. So what do you say about the millions of people that still support Donald Trump, knowing, and they know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's a lie. They know it's a lie, and yet they still support and say they have said they will vote for Donald Trump if he runs in 2024. What do you say about that person?
Yeah. So what I say about those people is that they're part of a cult.
Okay.
What he has done is exactly what I'm talking about, right? It's the same way that people talked about Hitler, right? It is a psychological thing, and you have to understand what we are dealing with. We have unusual circumstances.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to think about this. We've had extreme racial tensions, right? We have extreme financial issues going on right now that are impacting people. We have mass shootings taking place, education systems in trouble, people trying to get rid of public education in favor of private charter schools, and all of these different things, right? When you add all of that together, it makes people be willing to ignore facts. Hold on. because they want to believe
Yes, ma'am.
something different. They don't want to face the reality that we're in. And at this point, if I, as a Republican, if I've been a Trumper for 4 years, for 6 years, whatever, if I now have to say, oh my God, he was a fraud, he was the thief, he lied, and he tried to ruin our country.
Wow.
And I have to admit I'm wrong.
Wow.
And we know that people don't like to admit they're
Well
wrong.
said, Danny. Well said.
Yeah. I mean, wouldn't you be ashamed? Wouldn't you be ashamed? And people have a hard time doing that. But that's where we are. And I think that's what it's going to boil down to in terms of how we move forward.
Yeah. So lastly, how are you doing? How are you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
That's what I always say.
You say I'm good, but here's the thing. I love to hear you say that. Here's the thing.
I do say that a lot, don't I? I swallowed wrong, and it won't go away. But yeah, no. So I think for me, I'm good. I have a women's coaching group that's going right now. It's like a group that we launched. Actually, we're getting ready to head into our last month. It's a 12-week program.
Okay.
Stupid excited about that because I've got people that are making great strides with grief. During our process, one of our women actually lost her dad.
Okay.
And so in that place, I find goodness and hope and progress, right? And I think in the world around me, I think I'm as good as you can be.
Amen.
Right? I think that we have to find a balance between distractions like TikTok and Hoochie daddies and things that are just like light, and you know what I mean? I think that's one of the reasons why that picked up is because it was something that people were like, oh, it doesn't mean anything, but it does.
It does. It means a lot.
If I look at all of these issues, all of them together, if we go back and recap, Hoochie daddies, Monique and DL, gas prices and supply chain issues,
right?
$250 million with Trump and the grifting, and January 6th. What's missing from all of these things?
What's missing?
Humanity. Humanity is what's missing. If I look at men as human beings and I value them, then I'm not hopping on the Hoochie daddy train.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
If Monique gets out of her ego, right, and she just realizes she's here to provide a service to people, which is to make people laugh. People need to laugh. We have so many serious things going on. So if she was simply focused on that,
thank you.
She'd be okay. If corporations and fuel and gas companies were worried about human beings more than profits, right? Then we wouldn't have the problems at the pump that we have.
At the end of the day,
Trump and his entire campaign were interested if they were truly interested, because most of the people that are Trump supporters, sure, you have some wealthy people, right?
A few,
but the majority of his base are poor, are lower to poor people, white people. That's the majority of his base. And those people are giving money that they really don't have to give.
They don't have.
Right? And if he actually cared about the people, if you heard him say this, he actually was embarrassed by the types of people that showed up at the rally.
Yeah, exactly.
Because those aren't his people.
That's right.
Listen, y'all's ass would not be invited to Mar-a-Lago. It would not be happening. Right?
They're not going to the 5 o'clock party. They're not going to that 5 o'clock party.
No, but if he truly cared about them, then that $250 million would have never been taken from those people, right? And if we cared, period, about each other as human beings and what was best for each other moving forward, then these hearings would have never even had to happen, because we would have had because there was supposed to be a joint investigation.
It's supposed to be.
People talk about the fact that, oh, well, this isn't bipartisan. Listen, the Senate was supposed to join in this thing, and then they backed out. Right?
Yeah, sure did.
If you don't like who all is part of this process, then go look at Lindsey Graham, go look at Mitch McConnell, go look at those guys. But do you know why they don't want to be part of it? Because they know their asses are all tied to it.
I thank you. And Liz Cheney said something so powerful, and I love what she said yesterday, and I've commented on the TikTok. She said to the Republican Party, Trump is going to be gone. Trump will not be here forever. And like you said, I'm paraphrasing. She said Trump will not be here forever.
Right.
He's going to be gone, but your dishonor will remain.
Yeah. And that's the thing. People don't understand. When she talked about all of them having taken the oath, right? It's the same. I mean, I took an oath, right, when I joined the military. My mom, my dad, my brothers, we all did. And people need to understand that the oath isn't to a party, and the oath isn't actually to the government. The oath is to the people.
That's right.
Okay, that's what people need to understand. The oath is not to a party, and the oath is not even to the damn government. The oath is to the people that make up the place where we live.
That's right.
Right? So your duty is to do what's best, and sometimes you got to do what's best whether people even know it or not. So listen,
exactly.
If you are poor white people and you're a Trumper, and you don't like me for because you think I'm liberal, because you think I'm progressive, because you think because I got a little melanin to my skin, whatever the issue is with me, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? I still want you to have a livable wage. I still believe that you deserve access to affordable, appropriate health care, right? I still believe that you deserve to be able to, grow your crops and sell them. I think that you deserve to be able to go pump gas. I think that your children ought to be able to have formula. And guess what? I think you should be able to choose whether you breastfeed or whether you don't. I think you should choose if you want to have a baby or if you don't. I think that you should, I think that those are the things that I want for you, whether you like me or not.
That's right.
Because whether you like me is not dependent upon my desire for what's best for you.
Yeah.
And if we all come from that place, you can't get it wrong.
Come on. That's good.
You can't get it wrong.
That's
but
good,
too many
Danny.
people are worried about themselves.
Yeah.
I don't have the answers, right? Am I where I want to be? Do I have everything that I need and that I desire in life? No. And that doesn't mean that I don't want you to have what you need.
That's right. I want what's best for you. I touched on that Sunday in my message. I talked about proactive Christianity, the golden rule: do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and you be proactive with that. The identifier is how we treat each other. And you touched on it when we had Dr. Alley on. If your faith doesn't cause you to love me and to love humanity, I have issues with it. You know what I'm saying? And so you well spoken, my friend.
Here's the other part of that, though. Here's my belief is that it's very hard to be good to others when many, many, many people do not know how to be good to themselves.
That's right.
We have spent such a long time degrading ourselves and each other, picking each other apart. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is enough. When the reality is there is 100% more than enough for everyone. There's no need to hoard. There's no need to whatever. We simply just need to kind of, and I'm not saying companies don't profit. I do want you to profit. Do I believe that your profit needs to be 450%? Fuck no. I need you to bring it down a little bit. 45% is exceptional, right? 45% is a great profit, folks, right? Does it need to be 450%? No, it does not. And so we just need to rein things in a little bit. We have to get back to the basics of seeing each other as people and valuing each other as people. I don't have to like you and agree with you.
That's right.
But I still see you as a human being, and we've lost that.
Amen. Well, Teresa says she's checking in between doctors this morning. She's still at the hospital with Ron. Well, we're sending thoughts and prayers out to you, Teresa, for you and Ron this morning. And Danny, how can people keep up with you, my friend?
So obviously you can follow me here on Facebook at The Danny Cook, on Instagram at The Danny Cook. Twitter is Real Danny Cook. My Etsy store is Intrinsic Connections.
Okay.
And the website is thisisdanny.com.
Amen. Hey, Christina. Christina is chiming in. Good morning, everybody. We have had a great show. My friend. And I just love listening to you. So you be careful on the road today, you and your family. And we always thinking about you and just appreciate you so much. Go ahead.
That reminds me. So this Saturday, Hamlin County, Juneteenth, I will be there. Okay. I will be the keynote speaker. Okay. And we're going to be talking about education in a united celebration, and so that's the theme. Education shouldn't scare us. It should be something that we embrace. So we should always be learning and growing. And so that's what we're going to be doing this Saturday.
Okay. Is it going to be live streamed or anything?
I am going to attempt to get myself a tripod. If nothing else, during that, I can have somebody stream it live on my Facebook.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, listen, you be careful, and we'll talk to you real soon. Y'all hold tight. We're gonna run to a quick commercial, and we'll be right. That's the Danny Cook, y'all. Let me see. Let's get her out here, fly her back. All right, we're gonna play a quick commercial, and we'll be right back.
Hey now, if you'd like to donate today to the Dr. Walter Sims Show, please donate at Cash App, $Walter H. Sims. Yes, that's Cash App, $WalterHSIMS. That's Cash App, $Walter H. Sims.
I'll take that. Happy Motivation Monday, everybody. I'm Dr. Sims, America's #1 personal development expert. In that collage of clips you just watched, golf is predicated on consistency. And one of the things that I'm working on now that I'm, working on my swing again and playing again is consistency. Your setup has to be the same all the time. You know what I'm saying? And so the better golfers are more consistent. Dr. Sims, what in the world does that have to do with motivation on this Monday morning? Well, I believe one of your greatest challenges is being consistent. You'll start something, you stop. You start something, you stop. You start something, you stop. You start something, you stop. And then you look at your colleagues or your friends or even your haters, and they're a little bit further along than you are, and you scratching your head and you're frustrated and you wonder why you're not consistent. See, we can't be perfect, but we can be consistent. So what's the key of consistency, Dr. Sam? Being consistent. You are so silly, Dr. Sam. Just be consistent. Just do it. I love Nike. I am a Nike dude. I don't wear Adidas. I don't wear Reebok. I don't wear New Balance. I don't wear Under Armour. Just do it. And so I can help you with that. I am a life coach. I can help you with that. I watch a lot of YouTube videos about golf. One of my good friends, Joaquin Loper, has a golf instructor. And so a coach can help you with things like consistency. You need a life coach. I believe everybody needs a personal development budget. Maybe that's another video. But you need to spend some of your funds on hiring your life coach to help you with consistency. Because if you say you want better, if you say you want to go higher, you got to do what you got to do to do what you got to do to go higher and do better. And that's how I life coach me. So you call me right now. I have room in my coaching program just for you. All right? I'm full, but I make room for you because it's just that important to me for you to be all that you can be. Amen. Call me today and I can help you be consistent. And remember, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Listen, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Teresa. Thank you, everybody in the chat room. And thank you, Danny, for being here. And I know things are challenging right now. And I know there's not a lot good to hang your hat on right now. But if you look enough, I believe it is. I just turned 56 last Monday. Went to a Japanese steakhouse. Went to see Top Gun. Must-see movie, by the way. And laugh. I'm retooling my golf swing, as we say in the golf world. And I'm having a wonderful time doing that. Get you a hobby. Get on TikTok for the good stuff. And it's a lot of, you got to sift through some stuff. But for the most part, TikTok is edutainment, if you will. You can learn and laugh all at the same time. And as I always promote, Find out what your why is. Why are you here? What service should you be providing? Like Dani said about Monique. She's supposed to make people laugh. Dani is all about empowerment. Dr. Sims, empowerment, self-improvement, personal development. So during this time, from the beginning of the pandemic to now, have you gotten better? Or have you simply just like you're walking on a treadmill? And as I said Sunday, treat people like you want to be treated. And without being religious or anything like that, it's just grandmama sense, big mama sense. You go that extra mile for somebody. If you want somebody to do something for you, you do that for somebody else. One of the things I shared Sunday, that person that is a challenge for you at work, stop by Subway. There are coupons, buy one get one free, buy 1 foot long get one free. Take them lunch. Put a Subway meal on their desk. You don't even have to tell them who it's from. And they'll be like, oh my goodness. You'll believe how much mileage you can get from a $5 foot long. Just being kind. One small random act of kindness, you can get a lot of mileage out of that. Okay, but anyway, we'll be back Tuesday with another guest. Tomorrow, we'll be on the Blue Table Talk for Men. I got a special guest on TikTok. They call him the Man Code. His name is Chris, and we're going to have a great conversation tomorrow evening. So y'all just follow me. If you're on my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notification. If you're on my Minister Motivation page, make sure you hit that like button so you be notified when I go live. All right. But listen, much love to everybody, and we appreciate you. Remember, if you stay high on life, life is going to stay high on you.